the first game we have on Friday night, Moana Pasifika at home taking on the Reds. Be very interesting to see how they're feeling. Whilst they lost last week against Crusaders, certainly have their tails up. But Harry, do you want to take us through the injuries, to new injuries report and returning?
Yeah, we've got Joe Apakatoa coming off with a concussion, and Sam Slade limped off the field as well. Not sure exactly what that injury was. And then for the Reds, we had Penny Ravi come off early in the game. Again, not exactly sure just yet what that was for. And obviously the Angus Blythe red card we're expecting to cost him a couple of weeks. We have Anzelo Tuatavaki, who has been out for a couple of weeks, although I would say that he's probably up against some stiff competition to actually get a run now. So I'm not sure if you will actually see him. And then Tommy Liner's missed a few weeks now with concussion. So I think he should be there or thereabouts this week, considering how long it's been. Who knows, they might just kind of protect him and leave it for longer, but he should be back even with the longest concussion protocols if everything's going well for him.
Very good. Yeah, so look, I mean, this game, I'd be really excited for this game. Moana back at home at Mount Smart Stadium, and like I alluded to, yeah, I mean, after last week's performance, they were going toe to toe with the Crusaders. I think we forgot to mention until about this. I think in the 74th minute, there was a ball to Miracle Failangi out on the left wing there, which he dropped, but he had a clear run to the try line, and that would have put them within about 4 or 5 points from the Crusaders with 5 or 6 minutes to go. Would have made a really interesting end to that game. So I think they'll certainly have taken a lot of learnings. I say that every week. We've taken a lot of learnings, but I think this week particularly is probably either the best. It's certainly the best they've played this year, but could be the best they've ever played last week's game. Do you think I'm overstating it there?
I think best for this year. I think they played a few good games last year as well.
Okay, no, very good. But yeah, so I guess against the Reds, for mine, I'm expecting like much more of the same. It's just do whatever you can to unleash Aumua and Tavatavanawai. My favourite part about that was seeing Tavatavanawai appear everywhere on the field. He was, Marika Korobedi-esque in that it didn't matter. He's a left winger, but he was popping up, scoring tries on the right wing, centre field. He was absolutely everywhere. He was doing pick and drives, whatever. So just get those two guys the ball, and particularly when they were running together and off each other, was unstoppable because you had about three blokes trying to tackle one of them, and they just offloaded to the other one. And
Kagi,
not a remaining
preview is the word. Preview. We're not talking about last week. Preview. This week, Tavatavanawai is matched up against Dungunu, and Levi Aumua is matched up against Fluke. So Dungunu obviously trying to force his way back into a Wallabies squad after having a pretty solid season. His downside, though, is that he has a 64% tackle rate, and I don't think that's going to go up this week. If anything, I think it's going to plummet. You may see the first player in the 50s. Fluke, though, I think it's an awesome opportunity for him. If Levi Aumua actually runs at him, he might be running too tight in the channel between 10 and 12, but Lukey, the worry for him from us when we've discussed him in the past has been that I just didn't think he had the body yet to hold up a test match footy. But if he can put a few shots on Levi Aumua and quieten him down, then that's a massive, massive statement for him.
And sorry, do you think he can put a few shots on Levi Aumua and quiet him down?
Shots, no. Tackle him. No,
I was going to say I'm hoping for the bootlaces and hold on for all money.
Yeah, exactly right. But that's a win, mate. Against Levi Aumua, that's absolutely a win.
For sure. But no, certainly a big probably the biggest test that he can have will be this week. So that'll be really good. But I mean, otherwise, I think they're getting closer to that 80-minute performance. Like we said, it was almost 75-minute performance there last week. So. Only a couple of minutes to go. I think one of you had really been liking or noticing particularly how Eritara Inari had been playing, Nels.
Yeah, mate, I think Inari has been, one of the best passers in the comp. He's got a really crisp pass on him. And I think he's really been controlling that Moana attack and has had a real purpose in how he's been directing them. I think he has been very, very solid for them, and he's building throughout this year. And I think he's going to be a big part of them. If they're going to be an attacking side moving forward, that's not just give it to Tavatavanawai, which, I mean, I'm not saying don't, and Aumua. I think he's a very big part of it.
For sure. And I think what might have helped as well is that he'd been playing in the halves with Lincoln McClutchy, and I think they'd both played quite a few games together for the Magpies.
And Famai as well. There's a few in that back line.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess the summary of Moana is do the same again and just get play the full 80. You know what I mean? Try not to chop and change the lineup too much and just go all out. But the Reds, how are they going to deal with it? And can they stop it? Harry, what do you think?
Well, the Reds are still consistently inconsistent, so much so that they've gone from having a good game and a bad game to last week a good half and a bad half. So I'm really not sure which Reds team is going to show up. It was interesting seeing Quaid tweeting about the fact that he can't work out what the Reds are trying to do anymore. He's got a big appreciation for the systems that teams play with and particularly how well drilled the Brumbies are, but he just can't work out what the Reds' tactics are. So that if you needed someone to really take a stab at the Reds and really drop their confidence, none other than the legend Quaid Cooper, I think that's a pretty tough one for them to take. So it's fair enough, though. I just don't really know how they're going to construct play. I think the big question is going to come from who plays at 10. Obviously, James O'Connor dropped last week. Lawson Crichton, I thought arguably had his best game at 10 for the Reds. I thought he controlled it relatively well, particularly in that first half. And then Tom Liner should be back around the mix as well. To me, I think that given the defensive frailties the Reds have had conceding so many points, they've just got to play James O'Connor as the most experienced big body and hope that he can help organise the defence, get some line speed and actually put a bit of pressure on the big ball carriers from Moana.
It's not the first time ever James O'Connor's been referred to as a big body, but no.
Compared to.
We know what you meant, mate. The season head, and he's got to put them in the right parts of the field and et cetera. Just, control the pace of that game, I suppose. Did you mention the point of the Wallabies not being rested yet?
I mean, literally all I said was the point about the 10, so no. But you're right. Fraser McBride, Harry Wilson and Ted McDermott, none of those guys have had a rest yet. They've played in every single week. I think all three of them would be classed as the lowest level of Wallaby rest weeks. If we remember, the Wallabies had kind of three categories. So to me, that means they probably have to rest one game in the season. I don't know that right now when they're low in confidence and searching for a win, this is when it happens. But equally, Moana Pasifika are one of the weaker sides. So I think logically these guys should probably have a rest each against the top teams in the comp and just accept the fact that they're probably not going to beat the Chiefs or the Brumbies. But they're not going to play the Brums again. So, it is a possibility that we see some of those guys rested. They've also got some stocks coming back in the front row, guys. I know, Kagi, you like Baby Thor, Zane Nongor.
I do like Baby Thor, but he hasn't really lit it up yet. But I think more will come with more game time. So because he'd been starting every game and playing quite a lot of minutes, they put him back to the bench last week and gave Francis Suliasi, I forget how to say his last name, a start because he had a great performance off the bench the week before. I think it is. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. I'd expect to see Nongor back starting. Depends if Penny Ravai, if he's back or he went off with his injury last week, so I don't know if he's playing. We don't have any further information on that yet. But yeah,
Seth Garcia is the other one coming back from his red card. So I think that either way, that Seth could be starting if Penny's not.
Yeah, for sure. So I think with Nongor it was just a rest week. I think they do really rate him, and they just want him. He just needs game time to grow into it. I think he's been feeling the pressure, and to me it seems like really focused just on the set piece and his core role and positioning, and not playing the game we'd expect of him and his Taniela Tupou, just the running game and just getting stuck in. So that just comes with being a junior player and getting your first kind of lots of game time. But we'll see. So yeah, I agree. I think Sefar Garcia definitely either back on the bench or could be starting, and we'll see how it depends what happens with Penny Ravai.
And look, I one of the points I had was I touched on it before in the review. Reds rolling maul's actually coming good. Surely there's an opportunity there to score some points for the likes of Matt Fazler or Richie Asiata.
Yeah, I've been very impressed by the Reds rolling maul. So I think that'll be something that they'll be pushing in this game, hoping to try and, I guess, catch the Moana discipline lacking. It's kind of feels like a way you can try to attract penalties and possibly get cards from the other team. So I think they'll certainly be, it could be a good shout having James O'Connor on there starting and then kicking for the corners and just trying with everything to get some rolling mauls going. So, yeah.
I think the last question really is, how do you shut down Tavatavanawai and Levi Almua?
You can't.
With that Reds, you can't. But with that Reds back row,
Just if you have the answer, mate, Jesus Christ, everyone will be tuning in.
No, mate, I don't have the answer. But with Wright, Wilson, Mick Wright, being able to put some shots on and bodies in the way, I think if they're pushing up and really putting some pressure on those guys, as well as, if Henry's playing inside centre, he's quite a physical defender as well. I think these guys have to get up in their face and double team them, tag team them every single time they're running the ball, knowing these guys are running it straight through the line in tight, because they're not always out wide. They're regularly looking in tight. So get up in their face and have two of you at each chance and really put the pressure on them a little bit.
I was going to say, I thought Levi does run in tight a lot, but Timothy Tavatavanawai, man, he makes all his breaks out wide.
He runs through people in tight as well.
He runs through people everywhere, but I think you just got to when you tackle them, you got to try to take their boots off and throw them away. That's your best hope, I think. Really,
Mate,
I don't think
they have no ability to stop Tavatavanawai out wide. Dungunu is not tackling the bloke. So you have to defend him in tight.
And then Jock Campbell's covering, mate. Jock Campbell's going to be covering a barnstorming Tavatavanawai.
They're going to be saying pre-game, boys, don't let tries in the middle of the field. If it's out wide, that's all good. And Dungunu is going to be defending in the middle of the field because he does not want to tackle Tavatavanawai.
Everyone's going to be defending in the middle of the field. They'll just leave the wings open, to be honest. But no, very good. All right, tips for this one, gents. Moana Pasifika at home in the Reds. Harry, we'll let you go first, brother.
This could be Moana's first win. I'll give it to them. I'm going to say by 5 they'll get it done.
Nice.
I think Jock's coming back in to lead, or to be fair, if it's Liner, one of those two boys, and they'll get it done, and it will be tight. And they'll probably get it done by, I'll say 7, but I'm being generous, I think.
You're saying
you've looked at the line, haven't you?
Reds to get it done.
I think in the time that both of you have given your answers, I've flipped my answer 3 times, and I'm going to go back I'm going to back Moana with Harry. I think they're going to get their first win, and just because Harry said 5, I'm going to go 6, just to get that outlier. I love that.
Outlier, come on, mate.